Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm counting down my favorite 10 tools for under $20. You know it's hard to find anything for under $20 nowadays. You can't even barely eat at McDonald's for under $20. Sorry, don't let me get started on that. Now I want a hot and spicy, dang it. I got a couple of things on the list that might surprise you, and some of them might make you say, that is not a woodworking tool, fool. Get out of here with that crap. Without further ado, let's get to building. Oh, wait a minute, we're not building anything. Let's get to looking at tools. I don't know. Let's just get ready. For my first tool, I'm gonna tell you like I tell my wife, if you like them small, you're gonna love this. It's a little mini block plane. Now this thing was running at the time of recording $16.98 on Amazon, and it was 4.5 stars. I feel like it would have had higher stars if people would have looked at what they were purchasing before they bought it. I mean, we shouldn't label something too small if it's doing the job God meant for it to do. Sorry. This thing's perfect if you're someone that makes a lot of smalls like I do. It's great if you join a lot of 1x material and you gotta even out the edges. Not bad for just a few passes. Works great for removing them stubborn saw marks. Ta-da! And then you see all the thin fibers it makes? Looks like Pinocchio was doing some manscaping. So it's just got a knob right here to loosen everything up. And then this adjust it. You can do some micro adjustments. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is when you turn it one way or the other, there's a lot of play in the knob. But once you get it dialed in, it works great. For less than $20, can't beat that. I like using it just to make a little micro chamfer. You don't want to take a lot off the corner. Just do a couple of passes. Last but not least, it's perfect for those stubborn bunions. This next tool is perfect for figuring out the angle of the dangle, the digital angle ruler. Now in my last video, I was showing you guys how to mark out 60 degrees using your speed square. Now if you want to find 60 degree with your angle ruler, you just put one side flat on your wood and then you turn this until your digital readout reads, you're going to do 30 degrees on here. 30 degrees on here is 60 degrees on your miter saw. And I know that sounds confusing, but it's because your miter saw is zeroed at 90 degrees. If you want this to be just like your miter saw, you can put it to 90 degrees by using something like this. This is exactly 90 degrees. Put this right up against something that's 90 degrees and zero it out. So now if I turn it to 60 degrees, it'll be like 60 degrees on your miter saw. So that's 60 degrees, and then you want to tighten it up. And now you can make as many 60 degrees, gets locked into that position. Another thing this is great for is checking your miter saw. A lot of times when I'm putting it in position, I swing it back and forth and I just let it jam into the slot like some kind of animal, and then it pulls the whole thing out of whack. So it's really good to check it from time to time. So right now I have it on a 45 degree angle. So you would use a square that you know is 90 degrees and zero it out. And make sure you're not sitting on one of the teeth because it'll throw it off. Make sure you're flat against the blade. And then you see that? I'm at 45 degrees. And that's where my miter saw is at. Another good use is, say you gotta cut a degrees that's not on your miter saw, like 26 degrees. You set this to 26 degrees, put it up against put it right here, and then just move until your blade matches it. Again, making sure you're not on a tooth. And boom, now your saw is set at 26 degrees and you lock it down right there. Another good thing it's for is checking angles that are already cut. Look at that, that's 45.7 degrees. So if you were to use this for something, it'd be off a little bit. If it was a picture frame, that might be noticeable and you'd have a gap. You can also use it to check the level of your bandsaw table. Just take something like a 1x6, put it flush on your table, and then cut a line into it. If you still have it zeroed out at 90 degrees, you can put it on there and check it to see how far you're off. You know, now something like this you could do with any square, but you can also do the opposite. You can take this, you can set it to whatever degree you want. You set this to 22.5 degrees, make a nice line on your wood, then adjust your bandsaw table until that matches. Is this a must-have tool? No, but for under $50, it comes in handy when you need one. The next tool on my list is this WEN Edge Marker. Even though it's small enough to fit in your pocket, I don't think I'd leave it there. It's made for marking lines up to 2 inches, 2 1/8 actually, and it'll go as precise as every 32nd of an inch. So on this side, all these holes on this side are lined up with these markings right here. So it's pretty much every 1/8 of an inch. just this one row right here. But then this goes a 30-second back, and then this goes a 30-second back from that. So right here, I marked every 32nd of an inch all the way up to 1/8 of an inch. Now I can't see you having to get that detailed on anything, but it's cool that you can if you want to. Now to go every 32nd of an inch, they had to make these holes really small. So you most likely are gonna have to use a mechanical pencil with this thing. Another thing it's good for is getting the precise measurement of the board you're using. It's much more accurate than just a tape measure or a ruler because it's got the stop on it. Now it's made out of anodized aluminum, so you know it's tough, and I really like the color scheme of this. The white letters stand out really good on the black. The next tool on my list is another thing I use. It's one of those things you don't think about it, but I use it a lot, the center punch. Now what I mostly use the center punch for is when I gotta drill a bunch of holes. Like say you gotta put a hole in this corner right here. So you use your little WEN Edge Marker to get a nice perfect crosshair an inch in from each edge. Then you can use your center punch to get right in the center of that crosshair. Well, bam, there's gotta be a Nobel woodworking prize or something. Look how perfect that is. Now you can place the tip of your drill bit right into that punch mark and you'll get a much more precise hole. Now this one I got is about 15 bucks. Now they have them on there cheaper. You may think that's expensive for a hole punch, but they had them much more expensive than this too. But they had them on there for like 6, 7 bucks. I got one of those before. It's right here. Let me show you the difference. So here's the one I got for 15 bucks. It's got the padding on it, which is nice, but also every time I push down, it clicks. Here's the cheap one I got. It doesn't always click. So I can't attest for every hole punch on there. There could be a cheaper one that works every time. I just know when I bought a cheaper one, it didn't work every time, but I know this one does. Another couple of good uses for this thing is if you're laying out holes, you can punch them ahead of time, and especially if you're doing it in metal. You ever try to put a screw or or even drill a hole in metal, how it slips all around? As you can see, I'm using another one of the cheap ones I bought. The next tool on my under $20 list are these silicone glue brushes. Now I know what people are gonna say, just use your finger, sissy. Well, I used to use my finger, and I used to feel the same way.
This sounds very gay.
Until I was sliding my finger down the edge of a dado, and I slid it open. So ever since then, I started using these silicone brushes, and I really like them. They actually work really good. Until I got my own brushes, I used to steal my wife's silicone brushes that she uses for cooking, till her chicken started tasting like wood glue. Okay, so the kit I got, it came with these 2 glue brushes, and then it also came with this big brush, and it's like a squeegee too. And then it came with this silicone tray. So you can either use it to set the brush in while you're using it, or you can fill it with glue and then use it with this big brush to do bigger pieces of wood like that. You know what I'm saying? One awesome thing about these silicone brushes is if the glue dries up in your brush, like you forget to clean it out. I actually don't even clean mine out. I let it dry up in there. All you gotta do is put it in a cup of warm soapy water for a few minutes, and then the glue slides right off. It's kind of satisfying, like when you were a kid and you put glue all over your hands. The next tool on my list is my little finger sander. These things are great for getting into small areas that you really can't get to with a full-size block. And for me, they're a game changer because of all the small stuff I build. And because of that, I've bought in a lot of different brands of them. And they're pretty much all the same, really. The body of them is made of a dense foam, and the sandpaper is held on by Velcro. The biggest difference is how much sandpaper it comes with, the quality of the sandpaper that it comes with, and the shape of the handle. Now the one I have is about 16 bucks online, which is a little bit higher than average, but the difference is it comes with this carrying case, and the case is full of good quality, in my opinion, good quality sandpaper. If you guys like any of the Jasco merch I'm wearing, just click the link in the description.
Wow, he is so hot. Is he a model?
The next tool on my under $20 tool list are these Milescraft Tri-Grip bench cookies. Now, if you've watched my channel at all, you know I use these all the time. They're for putting stuff like this on, because I always have like glue on my bench. So when I'm sanding something or sometimes using the router on something, I put them on these bench cookies and it holds them in place. But all you do is you just put your work on it, and then look at that. See, I'm not even holding it. It's just, on its own, it's staying on there. Another thing about these is you can stand them up like this. And then it's for like painting stuff. The only thing is if you use them like this, they fall over very easy. So you got to make sure you turn 2 of them one way and 2 of them another way, or do it the opposite like this. And that holds them a little bit more stable. Now these bench cookies could have been in my $10 and under list because they're only $9.99. Now these Rockler cookies, they have a slightly higher rating on Amazon, but they're almost double the price. They might have a slightly higher grip than the Milescraft, but where they really shine is when you're using an orbital sander or something that vibrates. Because of that softer cushion on top, they don't move around as much. Here's another tool that would have made my tools under $10 list, the Milescraft Drill Block. This drill block is great if you need to drill a straight hole, but you don't have a drill press. This is your next best bet. Now it's not perfect and it has its limitations, but it's way better than trying to drill a hole freehand. Especially if you can find a way to throw a clamp on it at the same time. Another thing I really like to use this drill block for is drilling my 3/8 dowels. And it works really good if you put a stop collar on it. You got yourself a little depth stop. The next tool on my list is my Japanese pool saw or flush cut saw. One thing that's great about this saw is one side is for hardwood and the other side's for softwood. And look how flexible this thing is. It's perfect for flush cutting dowels. Here's a little trivia people don't know. The reason they call it a pool saw is because as opposed to American saws, the force in cutting comes from pulling it. Where American saws, the force in cutting comes when you push it. Because Japanese are much better at doing pull-ups than push-ups.
That sounds made up.
Now the time when I bought this saw, it used to be the best saw for the price. But then when I was doing research for this, I found another saw. This new flush cut saw has just a high of a rating as the other saw, except the blade is bigger at 6 inches. This one's only 5 inches, and it's only $12. One thing I noticed about this new saw is it has double teeth, and it's a much thicker blade, so it's not as flexible. So because the blade is thicker, it doesn't seem to cut through as easy. Not that it had a problem, but it's not as easy as the thinner blade, and the dowel is sticking up a little bit. So while this blade is bigger, the blade seems stronger and thicker. It's not as good at flush cutting. As you can see, it like scratched the wood. This is from the back side of it scraping over here, where this one didn't leave any marks. You can see on the wood over here. If it did, they might have been very faint. So this is much better. The old one's much better at flush cutting. This one's probably better if you have like a bigger piece of wood you got to cut. So Old Faithful, even though it's about $4 more and it has a smaller blade, it's still my recommendation for tools under 20. Now this next tool on my list, it might surprise you or it might not. It's a heat gun. Now I've had this one since the early 2000s. It's at least 20 years old, but lately it's not working as good as it used to. So I had to get this one off of Amazon, less than 20 bucks, and it's great. Has a super high rating. One thing that I use my heat gun for the most is getting all these stupid annoying stickers off the wood and off of the tools. If you haven't tried it, it's a great way to get the stickers off cleanly without using any harsh chemicals. So another way to use a heat gun for wood burning is get yourself some of this wood burn gel. You can take any piece of wood, sand it down to about 220 grit, get yourself one of these stencils, any kind of plastic stencil or any kind of stencil. I'm gonna tape it onto my piece of wood. Then I'm gonna use a silicone scraper to put the burn gel onto it. So this stuff's pretty thick and all you're trying to do is get it to fill in the grooves. Now, I've never done this before, but it looked pretty easy and I hope I'm doing it right. Then just pull the stencil off and let it sit for a second. Then just hit it with your heat gun. Be sure to keep it moving so you don't burn the wood around your stencil. Now the instructions told me to use the squeegee, but I'm starting to think I should have used a paintbrush because the gel is kind of bubbled on the top. I think I left the gel too thick because the stencil I used was thick. So I'm just scraping off the top ashes. Now, if you do this, make sure you use a dust mask because it started making my throat burn right away. I had to leave. So I don't think it came out too bad for my first time. I definitely learned not to leave it so thick, but I think it worked pretty good for burning it into the wood. It's actually burned into the wood. So to me, this is a great alternative to the laser engraver. A little bit of burn gel and a less than $20 heat gun, and there you go. They also make these burn gel or scorch gel markers that you can just write what you want onto the wood and burn it in. Another great thing about having a heat gun in the garage is now you have a way to heat up all your hidden snacks. Can you see my snack stash in my wood pile? You ready? Quabam! Scrap wood snack drawer. How about on my paint shelf? Just put a fake label on your can and you'll scare everyone off. Apple pie goodness. Now this one I've showed before in a video, but to really make it secret, make sure you write on there not a drawer. They'll never suspect a thing. Last but not least, my cookie stash in a roll of tape. Now that's what I call a bench cookie. Nothing like a hot chocolate chip cookie like it just came out of the oven. Just like grandma used to make. Okay, there you guys go. That's my top 10 tools for under $20. I have a lot more tools that were like $22, $25, but they didn't make the $20 limit that I put, so I didn't put them in there. And there are tools that I use even more than these. But $20 was my limit that I was going for, so that's what I showed you. Let me know what you guys thought. Did you like those tools that I showed? Are there any of them that shouldn't have been on the list? What did I miss? Are there any ones you guys know of that are under $10 that I missed? I'm sure there's a ton of them. Please let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for deals. Maybe I'll do another list like this, but with your suggestions that are under $10. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to leave a link to everything I showed during the video today down in the description of the video, and I'll pin the first comment. Anything you guys buy through those links, I get some change for it. Really, I just get a few cents, but it helps me out. I get some extra snacks, helps me with the channel, helps me buy more stuff to show you guys. I appreciate all of you guys watching, and your comments that you leave are so great. And until next time, get to building.